Holy crap. I thought I covered everything in last month's property tax breakdown. 20 pages, every angle. I thought I nailed it. Then you all hit me with comments, and some of these questions were really good. A few of them sent me back to reread parts of the bill myself, and one or two had me going, yeah, okay, I probably should have covered that better. So today, I'm going to clarify and answer a few questions, including some stuff I apparently didn't explain right the first time. Let's go. The 5-year wait. This is the one I got asked the most by far. Does the 5-year wait apply to me? Here's your answer, and I want you to actually hear it. Residency. That's it. That's the test. Not when you bought a house, not when you file your homestead paperwork. Residency. If you are living in Florida as your permanent home on or before December 31st, 2026, you're not a new resident. Period. Doesn't matter if you close on a house in November. Doesn't matter if your homestead application doesn't get filed until March. If you're living here, you're covered. Say you've been renting in Orlando for 8 years and you finally buy in spring of 2027. You're covered. Full stop. Because you are already a resident. Now, flip it. Somebody moves down from New Jersey and buys in March, buys the same week. Different track completely. They start at a flat $50,000 exemption. It sits at $50,000 for several years and then jumps straight to the full amount, the $250,000, plus whatever inflation tacked on by then. It's not a climb. It sits flat, and then it jumps. One more version of this that came up a lot. What if you're already homesteaded right now and you sell and buy again, maybe downsizing, maybe moving across the state? Do you start that 5-year clock over? No. You're already a Florida resident. Selling one house and buying another doesn't reset anything. You're not becoming a new resident just because you changed addresses. And on top of that, you still get portability. Your built-up Save Our Home savings moves with you to the new address. Same as it works today. The 5-year wait only applies if you've never established Florida residency before. If you're already here, selling and rebuying is just selling and rebuying. Residency is the lock. Everything else, closing date, paperwork, when you filed homestead, that's all just timing. School taxes, are they still untouched? Yeah, the governor's pitch back in May made it sounded like this was going to cover your whole bill. The amendment that actually made it to your ballot doesn't touch school district taxes at all. Here's why that's a big deal. For most Florida homeowners, the school portion is the biggest single line on your bill, or close to it, anywhere from about a third to almost half, depending on your county. So this isn't some small exclusion, it's the biggest piece of the pie, and it goes untouched. Why'd they cut it out? My understanding of this, school funding is a different animal entirely. It's not just one pot of cash. It's contracts, pension obligations, union agreements, bonds on buildings, decades of stuff layered on top of each other. You don't just untangle that in a 2-day special session. Whatever happens with school taxes someday, that needs to be a fight of its own, not a rider tacked onto a bill that's already moving really fast. A bunch of you asked the same version of this next one, and it's fair. If the non-school side of your bill is shrinking, won't they just turn around and jack up school taxes to cover it? Here's the answer. School taxes in Florida are locked in a box. That money can only go to schools. A county or school board cannot raise school millage and then slide the extra to the general fund to cover a police budget or a parks department. So even if school millage does go up, and it can, that money stays in the school system. It doesn't become a backdoor to fund everything else that this amendment is squeezing out. Your existing $25,000 school exemption stays exactly where it is, untouched. So once this amendment's fully phased in, you're still getting a school tax bill every single year. There's no version of this thing as it's written that gets you to a true zero. And that brings up the obvious next question. When homesteads start paying less or even nothing on the non-school side, where do the counties and cities find that extra money instead? Hang on to that. We're going to come back to it. It's the biggest thing in this whole video. All right, the next batch of questions, and they're all some version of, does this mess with my assessed value, my Save Our Homes cap, or my portability? No, none of it. But let's actually break down the three numbers that are on your trim notice while we're here, because once you know what they are, the rest of this is easy. Market value. It's what the county thinks your house is worth on the open market this year. Assessed value. That's the number your taxes actually come from. And if you're homesteaded, it's capped. It can only climb 3% a year, no matter how fast market value is moving. Taxable value. It is your assessed value minus your exemptions. And that's the final number the millage rate gets applied to. Your house is not getting reassessed because of this amendment. The 3% cap on assessed values for homestead properties that save our homes stays the same. If your assessed value is sitting way below market value because of years under the cap, it stays there. Nothing resets. Portability is untouched too. And since a bunch of you asked what it actually means, let's quickly cover it. Here's the problem that portability solved. Say you bought your house years ago for $200,000, and thanks to the 3% Save Our Homes cap, your assessed value only crept up to $260,000, while the house is actually worth maybe $450,000 on the market today. That gap between the assessed value and the market value, that's real money savings you've built up over time. It's the whole reason your tax bill stayed manageable. Without portability, the second you sell and buy a new house, that gap would disappear. Your new house would get assessed at full market value on day one, and you're starting from zero. Portability means you don't lose that built-up gap. You get to carry a chunk of it over to your next home and apply it there. So your new assessed value starts lower than full market value, the same way your old one does. You're not losing years of savings just because you moved. Now, the exact math on how much carries over, that really gets in the weeds, and maybe that's its own video. But the short version is sell one homestead, buy another in Florida, and you bring your savings with you. You don't start over. Here's how the new exemption stacks on top of what you got. Say your house has a market value of $400,000, but thanks to years under the 3% cap, your assessed value is at $220,000. Right now, you've got a $50,000 non-school exemption, so your non-school taxable value is at $170,000. Starting January 2027, that exemption jumps to $150,000, taking your taxable value down to $70,000. By January 2028, it's $250,000, which is more than your $220,000 assessed value, so your non-school taxable value hits zero. And starting in 2029, that $250,000 number adjusts with inflation every year. So it doesn't just quietly go away or shrink like that old $50,000 one did for the last couple of decades. Market value didn't move. Assessed value didn't move. The exemption got bigger, and that's what knocks your taxable value down, maybe to zero. All right, a bunch of you asked about exemptions you already have. Let's do a quick round. Senior exemptions, stacks right on top of the new amount. Veteran exemptions, including the 100% disabled veteran exemption. Untouched, nothing added, nothing taken. Widow and widower exemptions, same deal, unchanged. If you're already at or near zero from a stack of existing exemptions, this amendment does not take a thing away. It just adds a bigger non-school exemption underneath whatever you've already got. One thing though, stick around for this one, especially if you're already paying close to nothing. Being fully exempt protects you from property tax increases. It does not necessarily protect you from everything a county might do to try to replace that money. We're getting into exactly what that means and what it doesn't mean a little later in this video. Is full elimination real? This is the question I've gotten almost more than any other, in 50 different forms. Is this actually a path to wiping out property taxes completely, or is that just talk? Here's where the bill actually stands. The amendment does include language telling the legislature to eventually build a procedure that could push the non-school exemption all the way to 100% of your home's value. Full elimination of the non-school side. That language is real. It's in the Constitution if this passes. But here's what's also true. There's no procedure yet, no timeline, no funding mechanism attached to any of it. It's an order to build something, but nothing's built. So if somebody tells you full elimination is a lock, that's not right. The mechanism doesn't exist yet. And if somebody tells you that it's a complete lie, that's not right either. The constitutional language is genuinely there. The honest answer is this is a door the legislature is required to eventually open, and right now, nobody, including me, can tell you when or how far it actually opens. Okay, two more, and I want to knock both of these out because neither one is part of this amendment. First, the lottery. What happened to all that lottery money that was supposed to cover the schools? Quick version, every dollar of net lottery revenue goes to education by law. But it's less than 8% of what the state spends on education in a given year. It was never close to covering the whole thing. And this amendment doesn't change that math at all. I've got a full breakdown of where that money actually goes linked down below. Go ahead and watch it. Second, insurance. I get it. I'm not blowing you off, but we can hold two thoughts at once. Insurance is a real problem. Property taxes are a real problem. This video is about property taxes. If you want the full picture on what's actually been done to bring insurance rates down, and you might be surprised how much you can drop your own rate right now, I've got a complete video on that too. The link is also down below. Man, I sure do cover a lot of stuff about owning a home in Florida. If you're not subscribed, why the heck not? Go do it right now. I'll wait. Okay, here's the one I told you we'd come back to twice now. When homesteads start paying less or even nothing on non-school taxes, where do the counties and cities find that money? Let's be straight about what this amendment is not. It is not the end of city and county revenue. Homesteaded properties are a big chunk of the local tax base, but they're not the whole thing. Commercial property, second homes, rentals, all of that keeps paying in, and none of it gets this new homestead exemption. Cities and counties don't drop to zero, but they do take a real hit on the homestead side, and they've got something to do about it. There's basically three moves they can make. Number one, fees. Watch this one closely. Cities and counties can create brand new fees, and those fees are not shielded by Save Our Homes or by your exemption. Here's the limit though. The fee collected for one thing cannot get swept anywhere else. They can't charge you $300 for stormwater and then quietly use it to fund the library. But what they can do is create a brand new library fee that didn't exist yesterday, fully dedicated to libraries. And that is completely legal. Each fee has to stand on its own, but there's nothing stopping a county from rolling out several new ones, each one airtight by itself. And fees are flat. A $300 fee hits a $150,000 house the same exact way as a $1.5 million house. Property taxes scale up with value. Fees don't. And that's the part that didn't make it on the yard sign. Move number two, assessed values. Can a county just decide your house is suddenly worth more to claw back the money? No. If you're homesteaded, Save Our Homes still caps your assessed value at 3% a year. That's not changing because of this. If you're not homesteaded, you're under the new 5% cap instead of the old 10%. Either way, nobody's reassessing your house just to chase the shortfall. Move number three, millage rates. Can those go up? Yes. And this is where it depends a lot on what your house is worth. If your non-school taxable value is already at zero because of the new exemption fully covers your assessed value, raising millage on a zero still gets the county zero from you. 0 times 0 is still 0. You're shielded from this one completely. But if your house is worth more than $250,000, you've still got taxable value left over after the exemption. And that's the part any millage hike lands on. For some of you, that could just eat back some of the savings you just gained. For others, if millage climbs enough, you could end up paying more than you do right now, even with the bigger exemption. Now, millage rates are not unlimited. The Florida Constitution caps county, municipal, and school millage at 10 mills each. That is existing law. This amendment does not touch it, and it's the wall that stops any of those from hitting 20 or 30 mills. But here's the honest part. Most jurisdictions aren't anywhere near that 10 mil wall. What actually limits year-to-year increases is something else. It's called a rolled back rate formula that takes a supermajority vote or a public referendum to get around. That is a real check, but it's not the constitutional wall. It's a procedural one, and procedural checks get cleared when there's enough votes for it. So if you're at or under $250,000 of assessed value, you're mostly shielded from millage hikes on the non-school side. Full stop. If you're above that, you're not shielded. You're just paying on the smaller slice of your house than you used to, whatever rate your city or county lands on. Either way, though, you're not shielded from fees. Put that all together, and here's the real picture. Your county's most likely move is not jacking up assessed values. They legally can't. It's some mix of new fees built for specific purposes, plus millage moves on whoever's still got taxable value on top of whatever they could dig out cutting into their own budgets. That's exactly why, more than I can ever remember, it actually matters if you show up to your city and county commission meetings. The budget hearings happening in your town over the next year decide what gets cut and what fees show up and what doesn't. This amendment doesn't make that call at all. Your local commission does. That fight is a lot closer to your front door than the November vote is. Last quick round, 2 groups. If you're moving to Florida after January 1st, 2027, and this is the first time you're establishing residency here, remember that track from earlier. You start at $50,000. It sits for several years, and then it jumps to the full amount. Real relief once it kicks in. Just not the same as what existing residents get on day one. If you're an investor or a landlord, the 5% annual cap on the non-homestead property, which is down from 10%, kicks in starting January 2027. It doesn't roll anything back, but it does slow how fast your taxable value can climb from here on out. And renters. There's a line in here saying the legislature may provide property tax relief to permanent resident renters. May, not will. Discretionary, unfunded. A placeholder, but not a benefit. So that's the FAQ. Residency, not your homestead filing date, is what starts your clock. School taxes aren't going anywhere, and neither is Save Our Homes or your portability. And the real fight from here on isn't really anything about this amendment anymore. It's about what your county does in the budget cycle that follows. If this kind of breakdown is useful to you, hit subscribe. I dig through this stuff so you don't have to. And tell me in the comments after watching this, are you actually planning to show up to county commission meetings in the next year? Or is that still someone else's job? This has been the Florida Real Estate Insider. I'm still Tom McNamara. I'll see you in the next one.